Well, hello, everybody. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Just so welcome to what I have started calling Outside the Wire. Hopefully, we'll get this done at least every other week, is the goal to do this. Trying to make sure my banner's going right here. Hold on. No, that banner did not work right. But that's basically what I'm trying to tell you all tonight is Modog, help me out. How do I make this banner scroll like you guys do? Maybe I should have asked you that before I did this, huh? But yeah, tonight is an Ask Me Anything. So Outside the Wire is going to be different from any other time. It we're going to have guests, we're going to do whatever. Um we're going to talk about different topics, not just fishing. Don't wear green in front of a green screen. Well, I'm not wearing green. This hat is gray and my background is actually brown. Go to banners and click ticker. All right. So I'm going to hide that. Oh, oh. Now I see. Scroll across the bottom, save. And now we're going to show it. There we go. Thank you. That's why you, the Modog. Hello, Miss Cindy. You and Matt dropping videos right before I go live, and I'm in a panic trying to watch everything. And Modog, you have to play Matt's video Thursday, the one that he just dropped. It is amazing. You definitely have to watch. Everybody just go watch that in an hour. We're going to try to keep this to an hour, no more than an hour each week. Not sure I like this green screen background. But that was, I think, from the last tournament, bright and early. Well, Cindy, I did watch the first minute, which was an important part for me. So let's get this started. Modog, your first question, all official with the Outside the Wire logo that I got. That was something I did today. And I actually used AI and it gave me something that I actually liked. So yeah, I put in Outside the Wire, hunting and fishing, and I thought it was perfect. A guy in a kayak or canoe taking a knee with a rifle. You can see the fishing poles. That was perfect for me. The one they practiced at, or the wrong side of the leg, or are you asking what this green screen background is? I know it's early morning and you can see my NAR, so that had to have been tournament day. The question is, was that at my house or was that at the lake? I don't remember. So somebody asked me a question that you've been dying to ask me. Does not have to be fishing related, but it does need to be family friendly. Mid-South. Oh, the natural state fishing video. It's one he just dropped today that was the eclipse. Mid-South, would you feel better if I made you a moderator? Oh yeah, I got to go to YouTube to do that. There you go. You're a standard moderator now. That should make you feel better. Yeah, that's Matt. When I saw that video, I was like, this is going to be good. Well, that's what this whole live is about, Modog. Just type the question. Knew any mods for carrying rods other than upright? So, I have my Blackpack Pro, which you can put those rod holders in at a 45 if you want. And you can lay them horizontal. Good luck getting them in and out, sticking all the way out the back of your kayak. But you can put them at a 45 so you're not straight vertical. Other than that, you're going to have to get a different kayak. Although you and I do pretty much the same thing and lay them down beside us all the time. Yeah, we can turn around. And Matt, I think we got to 93% coverage here, and it was kind of creepy dark for over an hour. So, how much weight have I gained since I retired? I've lost 3 pounds. I think it was the stress of retirement and finding a job. I have lost 3 pounds. No matter how hard I try to put it back on with honey buns and beer, I keep losing the weight. So I tried to put 60 pounds on in the first week, just didn't happen. Welcome in, Mr. Big Balone. So, Mid South, how many times have I told you you bought the wrong kayak? Jackson has 3 different models that have rod tip protectors that you can lay your rods horizontal beside you. Actually, 4 because my Kusa HD had rod tip protectors too. All right, Modog, I'm ready for it. And we're waiting. How Mid South, you're watching the wrong videos. What you need to do is find a local dealer and go get in one. Go get in the water. Because you've probably watched that video that says NARS are not for big boys. And that guy doesn't always tell the truth. Do I feel bad that I went back to work and now that you have nobody to go play outside with? And yes, actually, I do feel very bad about that because we didn't get to go fishing enough. We should have gone fishing more. But I was too busy playing with a trailer so I could get my big Nar to the water. So yes, I do feel bad that I'm back at work. But what we need to do is sneak away for an afternoon if these thunderstorms will ever quit. I even had to clean out my garage yesterday to put my truck in it. Talking about hail again tonight, possibly. So Mid South, I know you're looking at your scale, but I would still recommend that you go try one out because they have a 400-pound capacity, and I know the Kusa X had a 400-pound capacity, and I saw somebody put 500 pounds of weight plus themselves in it. So just because it lists 400 pounds, probably for insurance reasons. Well, that's true. You do have to pedal the Nar. But unless you've blown out a knee like Modog, pedaling is not that bad. Plus, the Nar is the most efficient hull out on the water for pedaling. Unless you've got one of the Old Town Predators that they don't make anymore. The Old Town Predator is probably the only pedal kayak I can't keep up with. Yeah, because 2 different spellings of pedal mean 2 different things, but I knew what you meant. Matt pedals lures. You try to pedal a kayak. I pedal a kayak. Modog no longer pedals a kayak. He's probably mad that I'm at work, so I can't come help him put the motor back on or put it on the first time. That's where he's feeling really bad about me working. If you see me looking up, yes, OU is playing softball on the TV. My very first podcast I was ever invited to was with the Jackson fishing team, and they happened to pick the night that OU was playing Florida State in the Orange Bowl. I was so distracted. I was constantly looking up, and unless they asked me a question, I was pretty much watching football that night. Found a house in Kansas and moving in 3 months. I don't believe the 3 months. I believe you found a house in Kansas, but I don't believe the 3 months. And if you move in 3 months, I'm going to cry. The guest room is not for you, Mid South. It's for me. I'll even take a guest cot outside, unless it's springtime, because they get tornadoes too. You know what, Mid South? I will bring a tent. You and I can sleep in the tent. That's what we'll do. Yes, and you will hear my dogs. Hopefully, a cat doesn't make an appearance. Yak Shore. When am I going catfishing with Modog? Well, apparently, I have to do it in the next 3 months. Talking about moving. Well, see, okay, Mid South needs indoor plumbing and air conditioning. See, you're not a real outdoorsman then. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We do catfish we catfish Modog all the time, especially Mid South. So I appreciate you inviting me on this last week, Yakshore. Our conversation following your your podcast kind of did lead to me going ahead and doing this, as well as getting AI to spit out a logo for me. So yeah, I do appreciate that. I don't squat over holes in the ground either, not unless it's an emergency. All right, what other questions do we have here? I know you all have got questions. Got to have tons of questions for me. I don't even remember that Modog. Or was that while we were out there getting skunked? In which case, there's a lot of things that we were probably saying that we don't remember. Okay. Yeah, we were. I I need to go back through my video because if my camera was running, I may just make a video of that hour. May not even edit it out because of all the things we were talking about and saying. That was the best time I've ever had getting skunked. I know you didn't ask that, but yeah. You, me, and Joe hanging out, getting skunked, doing absolutely no good with whatever lure we were throwing. I think between the three of us, we threw 12 different types of lures in an hour. On to the next question. I need another one. Yeah. Hanging out hanging out this past Saturday knowing we both skunked was much better than you getting second place and trying to put me on fish and only putting me on a catfish. Mid South, they're not even telling me what's coming out right now. But you probably should have taken a look at the big rig, which has a 500-pound capacity. It was the original. Best memory during my career. Oh man. See, now that's the kind of question I expected or should have expected. Um, Man, there's so many good memories from that first deployment in '05, '06. Oh yeah, Blue Sky would be good too. Um, Coming home from that first deployment to finding out I had a date for OCS and still getting to go to WLC air assault school. Yeah, all that happened within the first 3 years. Um, yeah, probably my favorite time in the army though was the 3 years we lived in Korea. I was able to take the entire family, and we had a great time in Seoul. Mid South, everything you just asked about, the 360 does have. In fact, there's or not the 360, the Blue Sky. There's two different versions of the Blue Sky. There's the Angler and the Pro. The Angler has a pedal drive. The Pro is actually cheaper and does not. Um, the 360 seat is more like a out of off of a bass boat with armrests. So you actually sit up 2 to 3 feet before you get into the nice big captain's chair. And yeah, it doesn't look like a kayak, but they are legal for kayak tournaments. So yes, the Blue Sky is considered a kayak when it comes to kayak fishing tournaments. And to flip that, you have to get at least two people and purposely rocking it side to side, grabbing onto the seat to flip it. There's a video out there. Look up Blue Sky Boatworks flip, and you will see people attempting to flip them. You will fall off of it, not out of it, off of it before you ever flip that. No, it's not a conventional kayak, but it is made of primarily plastic and still made in Sparta, Tennessee. Yes, back to questions. They no longer make the side by side Blue Sky. Used to have three pontoons, and you would sit side by side. You're right, it is a mini pontoon. That's why I said it's super stable, and it's got in-hole storage in each pontoon, and it can support up to a 3 horsepower gas motor on the back, an XI3 on the front, and it does fit in a standard size pickup truck bed. There's a guy that we fish tournaments with that he's just got a regular F-150 short bed. He's got the tailgate extender. It also comes with wheels, so you don't have to buy those separate. Well, no, I'm not going to buy you a standard size pickup, but you can also pick up one of the Malone Eco Lights, and they fit on there perfect. All you got to do is put it together or do the Harbor Freight 4x8 utility trailer. That's plenty of size. I don't lie like Hitch does. Okay, I'll buy you a truck. I'll send you mine. You can buy me a new one. Where did I do basic AIT art? I assume you mean AIT, and first duty station is enlisted before I went to the dark side. So I did basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia in April of 2004. I flew out April 20th. So coming right up on 2 years or 20 years, 2 years, huh? But yeah, basic training, Fort Benning, Georgia. Um, I'll be honest, it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be at the age of 31. And then I went to AIT at Fort Gordon, now Fort Eisenhower. And I went back to Fort Gordon too many times. Wife trying to distract me. But yeah, I went to Fort Gordon 3 different times: AIT, Basic Officer Leader Course, and Captain's Career Course. The one duty station that I swore I would never go back to. So I did basic at Fort Benning, AIT at Fort Gordon. First duty station was Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I learned so much about the Army and my job at Fort Campbell. So if you ever saw me in uniform, I had 2 combat patches. Put my fingers there. So my first combat patch was with the 101st in 0506. Spent most of my time in Kuwait because I ran the division satellite hub, but they did rotate us up to Tikrit, which is the first time I got to see Toby Keith in concert. And we would rotate up there for 30 days, about every other month, and then go back to Kuwait. Hey, Windstones. So after Fort Campbell, I went back to Fort Benning for OCS and then back to Fort Gordon for Signal Basic Officer Leader, and then came here to Fort Sill my first time by request. I was supposed to go to, where was I supposed to go? Somewhere in Texas. And I called and asked about the assignment. They said, well, you have options. We've got 2 different assignments there for you. And while they were telling me about stuff that I had no clue about, it dawned on me, officers have options. You don't just go wherever they tell you to. You get to choose some. So I asked them if they could send me back to Fort Campbell because my wife and kids stayed at Fort Campbell while I was at OCS. They said, no, you can't go back there. I said, what else do you have? And they said, the only thing we have is Fort Sill in Oklahoma. Like, nobody's going to take that. I said, pencil me in. I'll call you back in an hour. Yes, Fort Hood. Thank you, Mid-South. Yeah, that place. Now Fort Cavazos. But yeah, so I said, pencil me in. I'll call you back in an hour. Called my wife, and we went back. We came back to Fort Sill after being gone 3.5 years. And I deployed with 75th Fires Brigade. That's the other combat patch that I would wear. And that one we started out in Iraq. And 3 months in, they sent us to Afghanistan, the Helmand province. So that was a fun time. Then after I was at 75th, went to Captain's Career Course back at Fort Gordon. And then the big list came out, and we had to rank 1 through 27 duty assignments. And so I took it home, and my kids, obviously, because I was older, my kids, this would have been the last chance to go overseas with them. So it was either Germany or Korea. And I chose Korea. Wanted to see the Far East. And when I told the branch manager, he's like, what's your number one choice? I said, first signal in Korea. I literally had to pick him up off the floor. He's like, did you really just say first sig in Korea? I said, yes. He's like, if I write this down, You are going to Korea. Do you understand that? I said, yes. My family is aware of that. We plan on getting command sponsorship. He said, that's not guaranteed, but if I put down you want to go to Korea, you are going to Korea. Do you understand? I mean, like 3 or 4 times, he's like, do you understand? You will go to Korea. And so we went to Korea, did get command sponsorship, and 3 favorite years. It's where I had my best time. I was in command for 2 of them. Met my first sergeant. He and I could look at each other. Yeah, branch manager definitely thought I was crazy. Because nobody picks Korea number one. He even said, he's like, usually I have to force somebody to go to Korea, and you just walked in and said you want it number one. But yeah, First Sergeant Barros, who actually lives down by Fort Hood, he retired, and he and his wife are both retired first sergeants, and they both live in that area. So that was absolutely my best time was in Korea, and then came right back to Fort Sill. Again, no signal officers wanted to go to Fort Sill, so I was a BOLIC instructor, basic officer leader course. So I taught all the field artillery lieutenants everything but field artillery. I taught them engineering, uh, MI, taught them offense and defense maneuver, taught them everything. But I also did get in to teach targeting methodology and tried to get them to think outside of just blowing stuff up. So I taught non-lethal means of targeting as well. I'm getting there, Modog. I was at Hovey as well. So after 3 years of that, the Army said, "Well, you didn't make major. You are going to Fort Bliss, and there's nothing you can do about it." So I went down to Fort Bliss. Was at Aviation Brigade for 2 months. A new S6 showed up. They kicked me over to 3rd Brigade, who was about to go to Korea in 30 days. Called the wife, said, "Take the house off the market. No need to come down here." And we headed over to Korea for 9 months. And I hated Camp Humphreys. It felt too much like Fort Bliss in Korea. It was not the Korea I knew. They sent me up to Casey Hovey to check out a building to move into. And 2 weeks later, I had a room up at Hovey and stayed there. Hello, Miss Becca. Welcome in. Kind of going over my Army career. Thanks, Modog, for a question I can talk about forever. Um, so yeah, 3 years at Fort Bliss. Um, there's a few people that stand out in my career, and here's another NCO for you, Modog. Uh, Sergeant Perryman. He and I made things happen despite majors who had the lobotomy at CGSC. And he is now, if you move to Kansas, I have to come see you because he's up at Leavenworth now. So I have to come visit you just so I can see him. Sergeant Perryman, my wife knows him as Perry Wizard or P Money because anytime you gave him an assignment, it got done. And then I wormed my way back to Fort Sill again for my final assignment. And now I work in capabilities development and integration, trying to plan out the future of field artillery and communications. That was my last job in uniform. And last week, I started as a contractor doing the exact same thing with the exact same people. So I'm excited about retirement. No more height and weight, no more PT formations. I don't have to go to any formation and no more mandatory Army training other than what is required for a contractor. So there's my 20 years of military service wrapped up in what, 10, 15 minutes? You want to know all the pains that 20 years caused? That'd be a HIPAA violation. Artillery surveyor, Winstone, what's that MOS? 13 what? Yeah, I I still keep up with some of my soldiers on Facebook. That was one rule I had in command. We could not be friends on Facebook while you were in the company with me. But I told them all, as you're getting on that plane in Osan, send me a friend request. By the time you land in Japan, we will be friends on Facebook. 13 Sierra. Okay. Ironically, I was a 31 Sierra satellite communications. By the time I graduated from AIT, they'd renumbered that to 25. So my original enlistment contract kind of was wrong by the time I graduated AIT. So one of these days, Modog and I have to do a lot of recording out on the water together because obviously he was an NCO and I spent most of my time as an officer, but we go back and forth just like two NCOs. All right, next question. Again, there's really nothing off the table as long as it's friendly, family friendly. Oh, you know what it's like with Modog and I fishing? Have you guys ever seen grumpy old men or grumpier old men? That's me and Modog out on the water. We are going after each other all the time until a giant fish comes on somebody's line, and then we're best friends again. Well, thank you, Winstone. I'm just a couple of years behind you then. Yeah, I enlisted in 2004. I guess I should tell you the story of why I enlisted because that's a story in and of itself. 2003. Okay, here we go. Get ready, Mid South, for your comment. I'm ready for it. 2003, I was working at Mary Kay Cosmetics in Addison, Texas, as a programmer. And I lost my job around November, and we moved to Kansas City to my wife's mom's house. And at Christmas time, we were at my parents' house. And yeah. Oh, I see it, Beckett. I'll get there. What kind of outdoors do you do? In fact, I'm going to show that up there so I don't forget. Um, so visiting my parents at Christmas time, I'd been looking for a job, and my wife offhandedly said, "Why don't you go talk to a recruiter?" So I did. And 4 months later, I was on an airplane to Fort Benning, Georgia for basic training. So, what kind of outdoors do I do? Mid South, the comment was I worked at Mary Kay Cosmetics. What outdoors do I do? So grew up fishing primarily, and I've I've got a gun safe full of different types of firearms. My favorite one is the one my wife gave me for our first Christmas together, which is a Remington 870 12 gauge shotgun. Um, but I've only been hunting one time, and that was with her dad way back in 95, 95, yeah. Um, so I I do camping. I primarily fish though when it comes to doing anything catching and killing something. Primarily, I'm going to be fishing because when my granddaddy died, I was 12, and that was probably about the time he would have taken me hunting and shown me how to clean animals. So I never got to learn that, but I do have everything I need to if the apocalypse happens or zombie apocalypse happens, yes, I can provide for the family, but I'll probably be fishing because there's a lot more fish. You're a systems engineer? How do we get along so well? Probably because I've moved more into management over the last 20 years. Yeah, the last time I fired my 12 gauge was when I had so my wife also for our wedding bought me a black lab. And that's the last time I remember shooting my 12 gauge was at the family farm trying to get my black lab used to the sound of gunfire and just walking through the pasture. And that's when I realized she was going to be great because as soon as that gun went off, even though she was right next to me, she was just looking out, trying to find whatever it was coming out of the sky. Yeah, exactly. Fish don't turn into zombies. So yeah, it's probably been since 94, 95 since I fired that 12 gauge, but it's still ready. I love labs too, but I found a new favorite breed that you guys have heard barking in the background, and that is my big baby, my Great Pyrenees. Hey, John Switzer. But labs are so easy to get along with, so trainable. Unlike Pyrenees, you just have to come to an agreement that they're going to do what they want to do. No, no teacup schnauzers. We did have so I was deployed twice. Both times I came home to new chihuahuas in the house. No, we are done with the little yappy ankle biters. Now we just have big giant dogs that scare people off the front porch. Yeah, my Pyrenees is not so good at guarding the rest of the animals, but do not come to my front door unless you want to be face to face with a 120-pound ball of fluff barking at you. The delivery drivers no longer ring the doorbell. They no longer knock. They don't do anything. They just drop it and run because they know that we know if anybody's home. We know that they've dropped something off. So my baby girl, my baby Pyrenees, her name is Freya. Actually, all of our dogs are named from Norse mythology. Modog, you can try to. Um, she's probably laying next to the bed under the fan because, as Becca can tell you, Pyrenees love cold floors and having air blow on them. So, yeah, she's laying next to the bed. You're probably good at the front door. Just don't come in the house because if she hears you, you're done. Now, Odin, my little Pyrenees mix, yeah, he's good with you. He doesn't care. All he wants you to do is petting. It's not cold out here. Well, it feels cold. It's what, 63 degrees? Yeah. Yes, and you can tell, even though mine's a couch princess, she will definitely deter predators. In fact, we've got a nice 30 acres behind us that's open pasture. She barks at birds that fly over her yard. That is definitely her backyard. You really don't want to meet her in the backyard. That's the most dangerous place. Oh, my next door neighbor breeds golden doodles. They're the ugliest dogs I've ever seen. Sorry. I hate golden doodles. I hate anything doodle, really. Oh, Cindy's back. Now I see how Modog gets behind. Because even though I'm staring at the chat, I'm missing stuff. Some reason I thought Jake was Earl. And then I missed Cindy until I saw that. All right, next question. And it can't be from Modog. Because Modog knows most of these answers anyway. Well, Cindy, you haven't been chatting. How am I supposed to know you've been there the whole time? I can't even doodle on paper. Do I like kayaking? Absolutely. Miss Lisa. So absolutely I love kayaking. Number one, it was cheap to get started compared to buying a boat. And then when you haven't been fishing in close to 20 years and that first sand bass hits, you remember that you also love to fish. So you combine the two, and it doesn't take much to get into kayaking, and it's a way to get off the bank. All right, Modog. All right. Just because I can hear the Horseshack sounds from inside my house coming from your house. Personal best bass. That's a great question. So it was actually last summer. We were fishing Letra, trying to learn how to fish that body of water. And Scott Zimmerman and I and Modog were all out there. I don't know where Modog was, or was that the day you didn't show up because you didn't go to bed the night before? Um, and so Scott and I were working our way back to the ramp, and I threw right in front of him, right in front of him, just a little farther than he could cast. I threw my spinner bait up there, and I caught just under a 6 pound bass that was over 22 inches long. The ironic thing about that personal best is my previous personal best had happened about 30 minutes prior, which was just over 5 pounds and 20 inches long. So my top two came within 30 minutes of each other last July, June, July timeframe. Do I think I'm a better fisherman and kayaker than Modog? Yes. That's all I have to say about that. Better fisherman? Meh. I don't know. Better kayaker? Yes, because I know how to use a paddle. Oh, there's Becca's question. I knew I'd seen it before. Oh, there's Modog's question. We're going to get rid of that one. Do I do any gardening or homesteading type stuff? Well, so, and my wife is now laughing at hearing that question. We have tried gardening a couple of times, to the point I even built her some raised beds out in the backyard. And the raised beds we planted, I think, one summer, and now the wood's completely falling apart, and now they look more like two mounds of dirt. So no, we've tried the gardening thing. One time, way back when, back in the late '90s, we tried to build a 3 foot wide garden next to the fence, and made some awesome jalapenos. Grew some awesome jalapenos. So freaking hot. Um, but then the watermelons and the cantaloupes and the tomatoes and everything kind of took over the yard. And I bet to this day they're still mowing watermelon vines. And so we do have chickens. My wife does have chickens. And one of the favorite things to do is feed them watermelons in the summertime. Well, if I let the backyard go too long, I can see watermelon vines starting to grow up around the chicken coop. Hey, hunting and stuff. Becca, I doubt she would come on this live. But yeah, she could definitely tell you the truth. But yeah, I don't do well at growing things. I did replace right here in the front yard. I took out some bushes that the wife didn't like and put 2 new bushes in. They lasted a whopping 10 days and they burned up. I guess I planted them at the wrong time, planted them wrong, something. So I'm not good at growing things, much better at catching fish. All right, next question. We got about another 15 minutes. I promise I'm only going to try to keep these to an hour. Like I said, this is the first time doing outside the wire. Hopefully, every other week or so, I'll do one of these. And yes, I will have guests on, and you guys can probably guess who the first guest will be when we get together. And we may or may not talk fishing that night. Again, we're outside the wire. We're talking about anything we want to. Biggest catfish I caught on a spinnerbait. Well, you were there that day and you caught nothing. And I bet it was close to 6 pounds. It was what, 24 inches, 24-inch blue cat. Yep. That was on a swim bait. The other three were on spinnerbait and they were a little smaller, probably a good 4 pounds. Actually, my wife is trying to start some plants as well in the house, but our cats keep getting into them. As soon as they start sprouting up, the cat knocks off the lid and we come out the next morning and there's dirt on the floor. Have I always liked fishing? Yes. I have always loved fishing. Um, got into fishing with my granddaddy. He bought me my first rod and reel on my first birthday. So I practically grew up with a rod and reel in my hand. So yes, I have always loved the fish. Guess I need to hide that comment. That's a couple of questions ago. Um, so yeah, definitely love fishing. I've finally realized why older people love to fish because it is so peaceful out there. And on a kayak, it's even better because you get away from everybody. Unless Modog's following you around, and now I've got to pedal faster to get away from him. But yeah, when did I get started fishing? Yeah, I was. I don't remember a time I didn't have a fishing pole in my hand. I even remember my granddaddy changing the oil in his car and truck on the driveway, and he'd hand me a little fishing pole just to get out of his way and tie a weight onto it, and I'd throw it up and down the driveway. Um, Lisa, I dislike chatterbaits because Modog loves them so much. That's really the reason. I had chatterbaits in my tackle box before I ever met Modog. Um, so yeah, it's more of Modog loves them. I'll let it be his thing. Do I have a kid? Do I fish with them? Well, I have 3 kids. Do I fish with them? Let me see. When was the last time I went fishing with any of the 3? Probably my daughter and her boyfriend, soon to be fiance. It was probably 2 years ago. So no. And my daughter is the baby of the 3. She turns 26 this year. So yeah, they're all doing their own thing and we rarely fish together anymore. But yeah, when they were little, yeah, we would I would take them fishing. And the day we caught a bunch of striper at Lake Texoma was the day they learned about the circle of life. Even though they had watched The Lion King, they did not appreciate that knife, that electric knife, cutting up those fish on the cleaning dock. But they did enjoy dinner that night. Got time for a couple more questions. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm right here by the front windows, and the old man of the three, Loki, was looking out through the window, and I guess somebody's walking by. So, yeah, he sets off the. Any one of the three can be the alarm. Are you? Yeah. Are you sure you're at my door? Will I ever move to God's country and catch some crabs? I live in God's country. I don't know where you think God's country is, but it's not in the Northwest. The God's country is here under wide open skies. Wide open skies here. That's the reason I hated being in Georgia. Pine trees everywhere. You can't see the sunset. You can't see the horizon. Roads go in circles and curves, and I like knowing which direction I'm going because all I have to do is look at the sun. I'm going north, south, east, or west. Get turned around every time I go to Georgia. I'm exactly 90 degrees off on what direction I think I'm going. Yeah, and our one mountain that's what, 300 feet tall? Maybe 400 feet tall. You tell them, Lisa. Exactly. I don't want to get crabs. Maybe here, let me lower the blinds here just a bit so he doesn't come back. You want on? You want on? You want to say hi to everybody? Hold on. Let me see if I can get her. Come here. Come here, Freya. Sit. 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 Sit down. Come here. Come here. There she is. There you go. There's my big baby. There's her big tail. Oh, what you want? Becca, did your Pyrenees do this too? You pet them and then they just don't go away till they're ready to go away, demanding attention. A big white fluffy dog. Say hi to everybody. Okay, go lay down. Go on, go lay down. Yeah, now she's checking out the front door. She's very protective. She knows every inch of this house. She has to patrol the backyard before going to bed. Good luck, Modog. You can try. That's the thing about Pyrenees. You can try to pet them. If you're not part of the pack, you're the enemy. Her favorite thing to do is sit on the couch with me. Every morning drinking coffee, she just plops herself down. All right, time for one more good question. Come on, I know you guys have got questions. Yeah, you probably will lose an arm and a leg and a face. No, you cannot have my Kusa. You can have my Kusa when you pry it out of my cold, dead hands. Besides, it has a lower weight rating than the NAR. So what are you going to do in a Kusa? Jake, really? You know what? I can put people in timeout, can't I? Wait, let's see if I can. I'm going to try this. How long do I get to put him in timeout for? Does it give me an option? No. Oh, no. No, not banned. Oh, no, I've done a Modog. I swear I didn't mean to ban you. Where'd it go? Okay. But on my end, it says I banned him and removed his comments. Did not mean to ban Jake. I just wanted to try the timeout thing. He can come back next time. Well, if nobody asks a question, I probably. Yeah, I put him in timeout from StreamYard. Was that the wrong way to do it? See, you didn't teach me how to do this. You're a horrible NCO. You were supposed to teach me how to do this. How about if I add him as a moderator back? Will that work? I don't know how to do it. Okay. Well, of course. I'm not going to create a whole new channel. Don't make me do that, Mid-South. Modog will help me figure it out. That's what he'll do. I'm sure I can figure it out somehow. And that's just like an IT manager to say, re-image the computer. Start a whole new computer and channel. I can't do anything now? Or are you just scaring me? Oh, he's gone for the whole 300. Okay. As long as he's not completely banned. I was just trying to mess with him. Due to bad programming. That's why I got out of programming. Yeah, it is Sparta. All right, Jake. Hopefully you're still around. I'll learn how to make this StreamYard stuff work. I did not mean to ban you, even though that's what it showed on my end. I can view the deleted message, but I can't bring him back. But I did make him a moderator as penance. All right. He can hear me, but he can't type. That is if he didn't leave. But we've been here just about an hour, and my dog wants back outside, probably to bark at at birds. So I really do appreciate you guys coming in, and we will start having these more regularly. And Modog, get ready because you're going to be the first guest. You all heard it here. First guest is Modog, and who knows what we are going to get into that night. Do I use any inline spinners? I don't use them because I keep forgetting them. I do have a couple in the tackle box, but I keep forgetting to put them on. So I will see you guys in the next live, whichever one of you has a live next. I will see you then. Whether that's Cindy or Matt tying lures tonight, or, well, Lisa and Brandy don't do much fishing during the week. We all get in Cindy's and do Cindy after dark. But definitely, you guys know you'll see me Thursday night with Modog making comments in there. So I appreciate you all for coming in, and we'll see you again next time.